Hey everyone, Ace of Clay here, and welcome to another sculpting video. In this one, I'll be sculpting a good witch. So many people have been saying lately that I sculpt a lot of dark and dreary stuff. Why don't I try something bright and happy? Well, your wish has been granted. A good witch or fairy godmother type character is about the brightest, happiest thing that this dark and twisted mind could think of. She's so out of my norm, so she was definitely a challenge, but I really hope you like her. Now, without further ado, let's bippity boppity boo. See what I did there? Alright, first step, armature. And as always, all of the materials and tools that I use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. Alright, so we're starting the underlying structure with aluminum foil, just shaping her out. And before I started this, I had a pretty good idea of how I wanted her to look. I wanted her to be this very animated, jolly character who wore like this big poofy dress, had like poofy sleeves and like a crazy updo, so that's what we're going to do for her. So after making the initial shape out of aluminum foil here, I'm just covering everything in Super Sculpey Medium Blend. Yes, Medium Blend is back. Alright, now once the base for her torso and bottom of the dress are complete, I'm just poking a bamboo skewer through the shoulder area so that I can feed some 12 gauge aluminum wire through for her arms. Now that I have those, I'm setting that aside and we're going to create some ruffles for the bottom of her dress. I got this sheet of clay by sticking it in my pasta maker on the 3 setting, and then I'm just folding it back and forth to create the ruffles. Then to attach them, I'm just pressing them into the dress, like so, and then blending the top edge in with everything else. Now we're going to do that again for the back. And that's looking pretty good. I ain't mad. Now, I am certainly not a dressmaker, so doing this was way out of my element, and I think in the end I came up with a pretty passable design that looks like it could actually be a fancy dress, but here I'm just working my way up on the dress and creating 2 draped pieces of fabric out of snakes of clay, pressing those in and then blending the top edge in with the rest. Now I'm just extending those pleats at the bottom like so, using my wedge color shaper and spoon tool and a couple other things. And then had I, drawn this first or known exactly what the dress was going to look like before I made it, I would have just made the ruffles longer, but instead I'm kind of working this way because I don't know what I'm doing and I never draw my stuff before I make it. At this point, I was so happy with how this thing was looking. Now we're just going to add a couple more folds and wrinkles to the fabric on the dress, like so. More snakes of clay that taper at each end, and I'm just blending them in with everything like this. And I add a couple of those here and there. Now I'm just going to bring out her chest a little bit more, like so, just another piece of clay, and blending everything in with my fingertips. Once that's looking pretty good, I'm just going to make her collar, and this is just a very thin snake of clay that I'm adding like so, and then blending one edge in with the rest of it. Now I'm trying to figure out how to finish off the front, and we're going to see what buttons will look like. Nope, not sold. Taking the buttons off. And it's like it never happened. Now I'm just using my Explorer tool to draw a line up the front, and we're going to see how that looks. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I like it better without buttons, but it does need something else, so I'm just going to add a large button or brooch, whatever you want to call it, to the top here. Just this oval shape that I'm pressing out. And then adding the stone, but I don't like how that looked, so we're just going to try that again. There we go, that looks better. Now I'm just going to go in with my cone color shaper and add a couple wrinkles here and there to the seam. Now to really finish off the top of the dress, I'm just going to go in with some very tiny snakes of clay and create some piping or embroidery, creating these nice little swirly designs. I'm very pleased with the result of this. Now we're just going to go in with my pin tool and add some more seams, and then finish those off with my color shaper. And then we're going to add some more piping to the bottom half of the dress. Wow, check it out. Looking pretty good. How many times have I said that already? Alright, now I'm just going to go in with my Explorer tool and add a cross-hatching texture here and there for the fabric. After adding the arms back and a skewer for the neck, we're just going to brush the entire surface with clay softener to remove fingerprints. And then while she was baking, I made this cute little snake. Do you like it? Anyway, out of the oven once it's completely cooled down, it's time to do the arms. Alright, now that I have the arms figured out, it's time to give her some puffy sleeves. Or is it poofy? Poofy or puffy? What do you think? Now for the second sleeve. I was really surprised how quickly the body was going with very few mistakes, especially with not being super familiar with a design like this, but all that's about to change when I start the face. You'll see, it's not pretty. Now we're going to finish off those poofy or puffy sleeves with my color shaper and then add some piping. And the body is pretty much done. Time for the head. Like I just said, the head was not easy for me on her, and I have no idea why. Was it just a bad clay day? Am I just so used to sculpting evil-looking faces that I can't make a cute one? I don't know. But this is attempt number 1. Nothing's working right for me with this face. At this point, I kind of liked it, but we're just not even going to put the rest of the footage in because what is this? Let's try that again. Alright, attempt number 2. Just going to put the eye sockets back in with my large ball stylus, but we're not going to make them as deep this time. Then we're going to add some eyes a different way. I don't end up keeping these, but I do end up keeping the cheeks. I really wanted her to have big cheeks, so that's what we're giving her. On her face, people, on her face. Alright, we're gonna try something different for the eyes, so we're just gonna get rid of those. Right, once the new ones are in, we're just gonna add some upper and lower eyelids, like so, with my spoon tool. I still don't have faith in this thing at this point, I remember, but I put the nose on and that kind of made me feel better, and then when I started shaping the mouth out, it's kind of going the way I wanted it to, but there's still a long way to go. And honestly, I really don't know how to explain what I'm doing other than just describing the motions that I'm making with the tools, because there was just a lot of experimentation and exploration with her, so there really wasn't a method that I can describe to you for this. I just kept messing with it until I liked it, and that's pretty much how everything goes. Now this is the point where I started to see the light. It was gonna work. It wasn't going to be another wasted face. It does look kind of like an overgrown baby right now, but that's okay. It won't in the end. Don't worry. But we're getting somewhere. There we go. After adding the chin, it starts looking like her. It's looking pretty good. I'm very happy with it now. Once everything is in place and blended, I'm just going in with my color shaper and a couple other tools to add some fine details here and there. Alright, now we're going to give her some eyelashes. This is a very small snake of clay that I add to the upper eyelid, of course, and then swirl the end upwards. I was so happy with how her face turned out at this point. I remember. Now we're just going to give her some tiny little ears. If you want a full-blown ear tutorial, click the link up above in the info card section. Now as another final detail, I just want to give her some little earrings. We're just attaching those with some bacon bond. Check her out! I named her Tilly. Alright, now for Tilly's wand, I'm just using a toothpick that I'm sanding down slightly, just so it's not so toothpick shaped and it's more wand shaped. That was a great way to describe this. Alright, after the wand's done, we need to make the hands, so we're just going in and making those right now. And then, of course, the wonderful blade that I'm using is made by Excel Blades. You can use code ACEOFCLAY at excelblades.com to get 15% off your purchase. Now we're just going to attach her hand and give her her wand. But before, we just got to bend the fingers a little bit, adding some bacon bond to the surface of the toothpick, and then putting her little pinky up. I thought that was a nice touch. Now we're just going to add the end of her sleeve here with some more piping. Then we're just going to brush the surface of her face and unbaked areas of her body with some clay softener to remove fingerprints and get her ready for another bake. Then once everything's baked and cooled down, it's time to attach the head. But before we attach the head, we got to give her a neck. So I'm just doing that here really quickly, pressing her head onto the skewer and into that neck clay. And now we're going to do her hair. And I'm starting with this cone shape that I bent at the tip like that. That's originally how I wanted it to look. And then it kind of turns into this sort of, I think it's called a French roll right there. And then we end up with a different design in the end, but took this entire process to get there. Then as another touch for her hair, I decided to give her this nice curly bang on the side, and then we're going to give her a tiny little witch hat like you just saw there. But before we do that, we got to add all of the texture to the hair using my Explorer tool. Now we're just going to make the bangs first, texture that before we add it. Much easier this way. Stick that on. Now at this point I liked her hair, but I thought it needed something, and I thought that roll at the top was kind of boring. So instead we're just going to put a bunch of curls over it like this. So you could say that these are snails of clay. Then once her hair is done, I want to give her a nice big collar to finish her off. And now let's finish off the collar with some more piping. So many snakes of clay went into this project. Now once the collar's done, it's time to make her tiny little witch hat. And we're going to finish this off with some more piping. And then I don't show it here, but I do attach the hat with some bacon bond. And then for the final step, I'm just texturing the curls in her hair with my tiny ball stylus and getting her ready for her last bake. And then of course brushing some more clay softener to remove fingerprints and bacon bond on the wand. Check her out. Tilly's looking good. Alright, once she's cooled down, it's time for paint. We're going to start with the bottom of her dress using Folk Art Mauve Dust. Doesn't that name sound kind of depressing? Like Mauve Dust? After 2 coats of lovely mauve dust, I tinted it darker with some pure black and watered it down to create this wash that I'm putting in between each of the ruffles or pleats. Now we're just gonna highlight the ruffles with some lightened mauve dust. I just added some titanium white to it and watered that down as well. And then after this, I'm just gonna dry brush some pure titanium white over the surface, just a little to heighten it a little bit more. Once the bottom of her dress is looking pretty good, we're gonna paint her face. After 4 to 5 coats of the base color, we're just going to go in and highlight everything like so, gently stippling my brush on the raised areas of her face. Now we're going to mix some alizarin crimson in with her skin color to create the rosy color for her cheeks. And I'm trying to be very careful not to overdo it. Now I'm just going to paint the whites of her eyes, and then we're going to give her some eyeshadow. For the first layer of eyeshadow, I'm going in with some Folk Art Red Violet, just dry brushing it on like so, dabbing it into the crease of her eye, like that. Now we're just going to go in and heighten the color a little bit more using a fine paintbrush and some more Red Violet. And then just to add some more dimension, we're just going to go in with some light peony in the center of each eyelid. Like so. So it's not just a solid block of purple. It's more interesting looking. And to finish them off, we're going to go in with some blue flash. Blue violet flash, sorry. Then once the eyelids are done, we're just going to paint her eyelashes. Now for her irises, I'm going in with some true blue. Then for her lips, I made this shade by adding a little bit more alizarin crimson to her skin color. Now for the top part of her dress, we're going to mix some pure magenta and driftwood to get this nice shade right here. Then so everything's not the same color, I'm just going to paint her sleeves a lighter shade of that magenta tone. Now we're just going to go in and shade some areas with some watered down black. And I'm just going in like so, adding that here and there until I get it to a point that I like. Now that the base colors are done, it's time to paint all that piping. In the end, I want it to be metallic, so I'm going to paint it all black first. I'm doing this because metallics always look better and have more of a shift over black or very dark colors. Now for the fun part, we're finishing the piping with some Color Shift Blue Violet Flash. I like this color because it has a really strong gold tone to it, so it's more gold than blue, but you can still see the blue shift at certain angles. Now we're just going to add some of that blue violet flash to her earrings. And you can see how this color looks completely different than the piping because it's over white instead of black. Now for her hair, I decided to give her red hair And we're going in with some Barnyard Red that I mixed with Titanium White to get this nice sort of pinkish red shade. Once her hair's done, it's time to paint her eyebrows on, like so, being very careful and using the smallest brush I own. And then don't forget to speed up the drying process, you can always use a blow dryer. Now I'm just going to dry brush a highlight color over her hair, like so, and then paint her hat to match her dress. Once her hat's done, I'm just going to paint her wand white and then go over that with some pearl white metallic, like so. And then to finish off her eyes, I'm just highlighting them with some light blue, adding her pupils and little reflections with a dotting tool. Then for the last couple steps, we're just painting the stone in her brooch and then giving her some pearl metallic on her lips. And she's done! Tilly the Good is complete. She is so different than what I normally make, but I couldn't be happier with her. Let me know what you think in the comments. And that's a wrap. I really hope you like Tilly the Good, our good witch slash fairy godmother. I'm really happy with how she turned out, and I'm really glad that I ventured out of my norm to bring her to life. The music for this video was provided by Tiff Music. I will link his YouTube channel and his Patreon down below. As always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and then follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Ace of Clay, and I will see you in the next one. Say bye, Tilly.